found out that wasn't his real hair curly. That was an S curl.
Oh.
Then later on, I found out that was his green eyes.
Wait a minute, I will stop you right there. Don't
And then he started working and looking for it.
Oh.
Well, he pulled one. He pulled a
See?
fool on you, and I went. He was going after Linda money.
You know, I'm gonna let that go. You're telling the truth, except for the eyes. Those were his eyes. That was the only thing real about him. Let me just say that. But Pastor, after 5 years, he just stopped working. He just stopped working, and he said, well, you make money. You make more than I do. What's the problem? And as a woman coming from a family whose parents were married over 30 years, and whose mother was a homemaker, and whose father took pride in taking care of 7 children, I didn't know much at 19, but I knew that wasn't how it was supposed to be. It just wasn't. So, but I was torn because he played that whole, you know, God put us together thing. He played it. He played it to the bus out, Pastor. And I stayed longer than I should have. Now, that being said, does a man have to be a financial provider in order to be head of household? Should I have just hung in there even though he stopped working?
That's a very good question. I get that question quite often with the couples that I provide post-marital counseling as well as those premarital counseling. And it's not an uncommon question when you look at the rates of divorce and statistics as it relates to divorce and the financial implications that cause people to divorce. But it really depends. It depends on quite a few different things. It's not so much a matter of a male carrying the financial burden as long as the man carries the vision for the household. Primary example, there in society now, it perpetuates a facade that women are to be so independent-minded now that they should just live life exclusive of men. So now we've got women that are educators, PhDs. I mean, they are financial planners such as yourselves. They are entrepreneurs and CEOs of companies. And then African American intelligence, or well, I should say in academia, they have not kept pace with African American females. So when you look at it statistically, thank you, when you look at it statistically, you're going to have more African American females that have greater earning potential than you do males.
Right.
Well, does that mean that a man is not qualified to lead his household because he earns less money than his wife? No. In today's society, that is probably going to be the prototype for a family. So what's important is not so much that he earns more money, but that he is the CEO of that household still, if you understand what I'm saying. And he has to do his part. Now, as it relates to a man not working, the Bible says now this is the Bible. This ain't Maurice talking.
Okay.
The Bible says a man that doesn't work shouldn't eat, if you understand what I'm saying. Now, so, there is a prime example. I tell people all the time from a biblical perspective, whenever God created Adam, Adam woke up to a job. Whenever God created Eve, Eve woke up to a relationship. And so what happens is that is why a man can lose a job and lose his mind and go shoot up the post office. A woman can lose her job and be fine, lose a relationship and go cut off somebody. Y'all ain't saying nothing. And so why? Because, man is validated, and there's an instinct that was created in him by God to have dominion. And whenever a man feels as if he's not dominating life or life is dominating him, he can go into depression. There's so many different things that can happen with a man. So now, having said that, once again, it's not so much a matter of a man earning more money than his wife, but he should be contributing on a regular basis. And then not only that, he should be able to be like a CEO. Bill Gates doesn't tell the people how to manage the money. He creates the vision, and then he has a CFO, Chief Financial Officer, and they make the decisions and they run them by him and they cut the check. Bill Gates doesn't write a check. And so, a female, very often in male and female roles, men and women are pressed into traditional roles. That is a question asked. They're pressed into traditional roles, and I call it the dinosaur complex. I'm going to be ministering on that tomorrow. And what happens is when environments change, society change, social norms change, if you don't adapt to certain things with the changes, you become extinct. Now, so what happens is, and I'm going to sum this up. My wife, for example, my wife and I don't have traditional roles. If you ask my kids at home who cooks, they're not going to tell you my wife. Whenever it's time for dinner, they're going to ask, Daddy, what are we having?
Really?
Now, you ask when it's time for snack, they're going to ask, Mommy, what are we having?
Okay.
You know, because my mom, you know, my wife, she'll open up a bag of potato chips. You know, she might throw something in the microwave, but as far as banging pots and pans, she's not doing any of that. Are you
Okay.
hear what I'm saying?
Okay.
But I'm fine with that because
Okay.
we have delegated our responsibility. We're comfortable and confident in the roles that we play. You know, I bring home that cheddar, you know, and fry. I bring home the bacon and fry it up. Are you hear what I'm saying? But my wife, you know, she keeps the house clean. She does her part. She makes sure the girls' hair's done, that their homework is done. So we divide the labor versus pressing one another into traditional roles.
Now, you said a mouthful because when men lose that earning potential, I make a very good living. And I hear a lot of men say, I can handle a woman that makes more than me. No big deal. But that's not true. That they say it, and I think they really believe it, and they want to handle it. But it's something about a man that starts hearing things I'm not saying, that start saying they're being treated a way that only because they lose their mind because they lost a job. And so it's all, why you say it like that? Why you looking at me like that? Because I don't work? It's like, hey,
You
take
become a little bit extra sensitive, I think.
very sensitive. And so a lot of times men don't allow women that make more money to forget it. I mean, it's a constant throwing up in the face. You know what I mean? A lot of men say they can handle it, but they can't.
It kind